Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests, and those joining us via Zoom. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo. Now would be a great time to check into your social media and let them know that you're attending a meeting of the Rotary Club of Toledo. Like us on any pages that you haven't already, then turn your ringer down so that we won't have any disruptions during the meeting. But keep your phone handy in case our guest speaker today says something that really excites you and you'll be able to share it. At this time, I'd like to ask James Caldwell to come to the podium to deliver the reflection and Brad Mick to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Cindy. May we bow our heads, please. My fellow Rotarians, this holiday season brings with it a sense of purpose. On one hand, it allows us to reflect on the many blessings we have as a privileged society. Blessings of food, family, friends, and health. However, it also is a time where many individuals lack food, family, friends, and health. As we begin a new year, remember to be kind and civil towards our neighbors, knowing that as a community, our achievements are without bounds when we work together. As I close with these thoughts, my warmest wishes are extended to you, your families, for a joyous and safe holiday season. Thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts. Happy New Year.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, James and Brad. As we begin the meeting, I'd like to thank our monthly sponsor, Spartan Chemical, and John Romer, our Rotarian. And I'd also like to thank Rotarian Brent Kuzno and Browning Kuzno for being our green sponsor this month. If anyone has a guest, could you please take them up to the floor mic to introduce them?
Thank you, President Cindy. My guest today is Dustin Dale. He's a Rotarian at the Reynolds Corners Rotary and a motivational speaker and executive leadership coach who's been helping me out.
Welcome, Dustin. Right. Any other visiting Rotarians in the room? Nope. All righty. I'd like to call Scott Hinshaw to the podium to give us a membership committee update.
All right, so today Sierra and Jean have asked me to come up and just give you guys a few updates. So the first thing is, of course, we're on the Imagine One membership campaign right now, which I know everyone's been doing a great job with, bringing a guest to meetings. I just want to call out, I think Mark Urrutia has been great about that. Tony obviously brought somebody today, but I know you all have been working hard on that. The Imagine One campaign, remember that if you bring a guest to lunch, their lunch is on us, on the club. And also, if you sign up a new member this year, for each new member you sign up, you'll get an entry into a drawing at the end of the Rotary year to get free lunches for the whole next Rotary year. So don't forget, give this a try. And it doesn't end, remember, Rotary year ends in June. So it's not ending in December. You've got plenty of time to bring in some new members and get into the raffle. Membership committee has also been working on a few new events. They're looking forward to next year. We have on the list a walleye game that we're planning. We also have on the list perhaps a night at the TSO for a rehearsal. So some folks might really enjoy that. So keep thinking about attending some of the different events that membership's working on. The last thing is that we have a new membership orientation in January. It's going to be January 19th. From 5:30 to 7, and it will be at Shoemaker Loop and Kendrick. part of becoming an engaged member is going to one of these orientations. So we really encourage the new members, anybody who hasn't been to an orientation, please make sure that you attend this one in January if you can. We will have more information and a sign up for an RSVP coming out for that orientation in January. So if you got any questions, feel free to ask Jean or Sierra, myself. We're happy to help you. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott, for the update and for the membership committee. They're doing a bang-up job this year. Today, I'm happy to say that we have 3 members who will be getting their new badge, that meaning that they've been in the club for over 6 months. So if you're in the room, please come up to the podium to make that little exchange. We have Nina Corder, Sherry Ferguson, and Alec Falkenberg. Alec, you are the lone soldier. Yeah, so that's me. There you go. All right.
Good enough.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And also, we have many members celebrating their anniversaries, and in honor of them, I'm going to read some of the big ones off. Celebrating 20 years as a Toledo Rotarian, we have Gary Geiger, Glenn Heiner, and Judy Leb. With 30-plus years, we have past President Chuck Mann and Bob Seaman. With 40-plus years of membership, we have past President Steve Martindale and Rick Hartley. And lastly, with 53 years of membership, we have Gregor Emmert Sr. So if any of these people are in the room, please stand and let's give them a nice round of applause. Many of you might have seen in your email that we recently sent out a member engagement survey, and many people have already completed it. I think we have over 80 people that have already completed the survey. But we're still actively seeking information from each of you. So if you have not done it yet, please do it. If you don't find your email, you can find it on the Spoke. Once we have reviewed all of the information, Jackie is putting it all together for the board to review, and we're going to go through the feedback, and then we'll be responding to our membership as a group and seeing what we can do to, take you up on some of the advice that you have and make some of the improvements, and also let you know the things that we are doing and maybe you're just not aware of them. So thank you all for taking the time to complete that. You might have seen over the last few weeks that many members participated in the coat drive for the Boys and Girls Club, so I'd like to give them a little round of applause, the people that did participate. And just a little extra, we'll have more pictures for next week's meeting, but this last Saturday, we filled the day for the Salvation Army bell ringers at the Maumee Churchills. It was great, all the spots filled up, and people were feeling super generous that day, so it was good. So next week at the meeting, look for some photos from that. And if you missed the big announcement last week, we are going to be moving to the Glass City Center after the first of the year, January 9th. Our meetings will be in the ballroom on the second floor, and we're hoping to have it be very similar look and feel of the Park Inn, and especially as far as how having the full lunch with the full salad display and the meals. So that will be great. We want to let you know, in case you didn't see it in the Spoke, that the price of the cost of the meal will be going up from $15 to $20, but that will also include parking. And then we will continue with the $5 non-eaters fee. We couldn't be more grateful to the time here at the main library, and definitely want to thank Cassidy, Kathy, Jason, and the whole library team for making us feel so welcome. And I know we had to work through some bumps, and they were very, very helpful and cooperative. So thank you so much. And now what you've all been waiting for, could I have Gary Corrigan come up to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Dione Dorsey Somerville.
It's truly my pleasure to introduce Dr. Dione Somerville. She told me it rhymes with neon, so you could remember that. But she is the bright light leading Owens through the challenges of this and many other years. She is the 8th president of Owens, and since her tenure in 2021, a great time to start a new job, as we all remember COVID, she spearheaded several efforts at Owens. She is trying to develop the college into the premier destination in Northwest Ohio and become much more of a partner with business and industry. She's led the implementation of Owens' strategic enrollment management plan and established the new Center for Advanced Manufacturing and Logistics, which is a unique collaboration between Owens, Bowling Green, and Findlay University. She created the Findlayarea Campus Task Force to leverage the strengths of all those campuses. Under her leadership, Owens was named one of Ohio's inaugural Purple Star campuses, which means it's very user-friendly for veterans, and that becomes very attractive. She is, in addition, an Aspen Institute College Excellence Program leader, and she is a National New President's Fellowship class of 2023. She's active in the local community, serving on boards that you may be familiar with, the Regional Growth Partnership, the Raise the Bar Hancock County, and the Toledo Museum of Art. She's earned her doctorate in higher education management from the University of Pennsylvania, a master's degree in college student personnel from Bowling Green, and a bachelor's in English from Ohio Northern. She's very happy to be in this area as she has family, and it's always good to be around someone who loves you. With that, Dr. Somerville.
Good afternoon. How are you? Good. So this is a surreal experience in many ways because there's lots of people I don't know. There's lots of people I recognize. And so that's always what's fun about coming to places like this. And I've been here for a year and a half. So June 15th, 2021. And so this Thursday I'll be celebrating my official year and a half. And so it's nice to see this kind of familiarity. And so it's my privilege and my honor to be able to speak with you today. Some of you already have a lengthy relationship with Owens. And as we walked in, one of our foundation board members is here. And so as I talked with Jim, he said, well, I'm expecting to hear great things. I said, well, you really probably already know all of this. And so his promise to me was that he wouldn't fall asleep. And so if the people at his table could help him keep that promise, I would be greatly appreciative. Otherwise, we would, it wouldn't be really pleasant, our next gathering. And so as I bring my presentation up, I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. And so, as was mentioned, I'm originally from Detroit. I'm a native Detroiter, and people often ask me, are you from Detroit, or the suburbs? I am from Detroit. And so I grew up literally in the heart of the city. I wasn't far from where anyone who knows Detroit, I wasn't too far from where the Fisher Theater is, from Old Motown, that intersection of Joy Road, Dexter, and Grand River. I took the Grand River bus to school. That was really fun. And it was at that moment after I had to take the public bus from 7th grade all the way through high school. And I was one of those people, and I apologize so much to Laura Krapowski when I see her, because I was one of those people who said, when I get a car, I'm not taking public transportation ever again. And so I have broken my word, and I have taken public transit since then. But, it was part of being in a city. And when I had summer jobs in college, I took the bus. And that was a big part of how, for me, I got to know the city where I lived. And you get to see the patterns and who people are, and you get to be immersed in a way that, you can't always do otherwise. And so I was very grateful for that experience. I'm also grateful for the fact that I grew up in a family that valued education. And that's a big part of why I do what I do. And so I'm a first generation college student. My parents, I used to get in trouble, for those of us who are old enough to remember this saying. My parents met working at the main Detroit post office in downtown Detroit. But of course, it was way more fun to say my parents met playing post office. And so it was an interesting reaction every time. And I'm glad that I survived to be able to tell you that story. But my mother was part of the Great American Migration. She's from New Orleans, Louisiana, is where she was born and raised. And once she got her high school diploma, came north in search of opportunity. That's what many African Americans did in the late 20s and the early 30s and even into the 40s. My father was a native Detroiter, and he earned his GED after returning from the Army in Korea. And so the rest is kind of history. I'm the youngest of 6. And so while, yes, we were affectionately known on our block as the Black Brady Bunch, there are 3 boys and 3 girls, and it was more like having 4 fathers and 3 mothers growing up than it was being the youngest sibling. And so when I talk about a family that values education, yes, my parents set that tone, but it was every sibling throughout. And so I know very much that I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now if it weren't for my parents, my brothers, my sisters, cousins, neighbors, everyone. You know, the whole trite expression of it takes a village. It does take a village, and that's part of why I'm here. When I went to college, I realized very much through my experiences that while I was first generation, I did not come from a family of means. Lots of things that you would consider to be disadvantages, but I did have an advantage. I had a family who valued education, so when I had challenges, I was encouraged to work through them. I had support to work through them. There was no such thing as giving up and coming back home. And so when I worked, I had a very typical undergraduate experience. I was involved in everything. I was a student athlete. I ran cross country and track. It was really interesting to run cross country in inner city Detroit, but that's a conversation for another presentation. But that was part of, I was in Black Student Union. I was in gospel ensemble. I did plays. I was involved in everything. But probably one of the most pivotal undergraduate experiences was being in residence life. I was an RA, and then senior year I was a head resident, we called them back at Ohio Northern. It's a model that most colleges have abandoned because the liability is too great to have an undergrad in charge of an entire building of other undergrads. But that is where, you know, I kind of realized that, wow, I could actually help people. I can work with people and assist them and facilitate solving issues or concerns or problems. And that's where I realized that, geez, you know, all my, roommates and floor mates and whatever are, they don't have the same advantages that I have, because I know that I can reach out. I have a family. I have all of these things. And that was part of the tipping point for me. And so to me, it really kind of pays forward in how I look at my job. Everything that I've done throughout my career, I've had an opportunity to have a greater impact on either the students or the institution. And that's of incredible meaning to me. And even though I've worked at a variety of kinds of institutions, I met someone from St. Ursula Academy, and we were talking about the Ursuline nuns. My first job after getting my master's was at Ursuline College in Cleveland. And while, yes, it is a Catholic women's college, their ethic of care for their students, their wanting to empower their students to really reach their potential, is something that I value. And I had that experience at almost every institution where I've worked, be it Ursuline, be it Iowa State, be it Lorain County Community College, wherever it was I've been. That ability to kind of work and live my values has been incredibly important to me, and I realize that it's a privilege. And so it's that sense of responsibility and privilege that I bring to this role at Owens Community College, because I believe that we have a community that needs us. and that we need our community, and that it is this kind of interdependence is what's going to help move to the next level of excellence. And so in case you're wondering, those are my parents. I realize I didn't speak to the picture. That's their wedding picture. And what you might not know, here's a funny story. You can't tell in black and white that my mother's dress is champagne colored. And so fast forward lots of years from when that picture was taken. For our wedding, I wanted a kind of a cream colored dress or whatever, and my mother was horrified. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I go back to the pictures. Isn't that champagne? So that's another story, kind of along the same lines of they met playing post office, right? And so the commitment that we have, we believe, is very rooted into our founding and who we are as an institution, that we want to be that indispensable partner throughout the community, be it business and industry, our K through 12 partners, our community organizations, as well as making sure that we're responsive to our students and that we're providing them the educational opportunities that they need. And that really goes into our vision of who we are as an institution. You know, it's always great to say that you're the premier or you want to be number one and things like that, and that's incredibly subjective. But the introduction really hit it head on. We want to be the first choice. We know that there are so many strengths that we have as an institution. And I say all the time, one of the greatest things about American higher education is that we have the variety of institutions we do. Students can choose a variety of different experiences that meet their needs at any given point in time. They may start out one place and end up someplace else, and that's fine, because that's why we're here. But we want to make sure that Owens is first in consideration for every student, regardless of if you're just leaving high school, regardless of if you're in high school, if you're a returning adult, if you're working somewhere and you need to be upskilled or retrained, or you're looking to do something different, like you realize at 55 you really wanted to be a nurse, we're here for you. Just as if you were 15 and realized that you want to be a nurse. And so we want to be that first choice for our families and to be that partner throughout the region as we help work together to make this a fantastic place. And so as an institution of higher education, we always have all of our accreditations, right? And so our main institutional one is from the Higher Learning Commission, and that's the one that you hear most often in the news, like when federal government talks about what about accreditors. That's our regional accrediting agency. However, many of our programs, particularly our specialized programs, have individual program accreditations. And so our business accreditation you'll see there for our business management technology, and also many of our science, many of our STEM programs have additional accreditations. And so our engineering program, our electronics program, networking, computer science, CAD, WAN, welding, all of those are covered under ATME accreditation. And that's been reaffirmed for a little while. Also, our dental hygiene program. We provide more health professions to this community than a lot of other institutions. We're one of the few nursing programs that has been full on a regular basis when many others have lots of vacancies. I pause on the dental hygiene program because that was the first reauthorization of program accreditation that I experienced in my year and a half. And I'm not sure about how, many of you lead multifunctional, multidisciplinary organizations. The only thing I know about dental hygiene is being a patient. And so my very first reauthorization of accreditation was with our dental hygiene program. And to know that program, the accreditation organization is incredibly particular. And this is a reauthorization that's occurring as we're, coming out of COVID. And so many programs, many hands-on programs had to shift, doing things that were more electronic versus, running multiple labs to keep the appropriate spacing. And this was a program that came through, all of them came through with flying colors, but this one in particular being the first reauthorization, and to have the accrediting agency praise us for a lot of our efforts through that. Owens, through the pandemic, never closed. Yes, many of our classes went remote, but there's certain things that you can't do remotely. I don't think anyone wants to have a dental hygienist with tools in their mouth that they've never practiced on a human being before, or a welder who has never held an actual torch before. And so it was really important to our faculty and staff that our students, that we adapt and do things in a way that was safe to keep our faculty and staff safe, but also our students be able to move forward. The fall semester of 21, so it's the first one when you're kind of seeing some true pandemic effects, we actually had a higher retention rate than we did the previous year. And I think that speaks very directly to the dedication of our faculty and staff to meet our students where they are and to continue to move forward. Our physical therapy assisting program is another one that was reaccredited through 2029, and our early childhood program as well. And so along with a lot of what happens with our faculty and staff, I'd be remiss if I don't talk about enrollment. And so we talked about our new strategic enrollment management plan that began implementation about a year ago, but we'll also be welcoming a few new people. The first one is Dr. Blake Renner. He will be our new vice president for enrollment management and student affairs, and he begins in January. And so we're excited to have him come on board because he has a long history in enrollment management, retention, and student success. And he'll be coming to us from Franklin University in Columbus. And so we're excited for him to come on, be able to join some of the great efforts that we already have and help us move forward to that next level of excellence. But our faculty are another group of people of whom we're incredibly proud. And so the Dale P. Parnell recognition from the American Association of Community Colleges recognizes faculty who demonstrate excellence in teaching, who are up to date on the latest teaching pedagogy, but also who care about the students outside the classroom. They're engaged in the college, they're on committees, but they also work with students. They're the ones who go the extra mile, right? The ones who will meet outside of office hours, the ones who will provide additional tutoring, things like that. And we're really proud that for the last 2 years in a row, we've had faculty to be honored by the American Association of Community Colleges for their teaching. I think it's one thing when we give our faculty awards, right? We have a Presidential Teaching Award, and that's great, and they appreciate it. It's something completely different when a national organization does that. And so we're excited for our faculty and very proud of their accomplishments. And hopefully next year I can tell you we're 3 for 3. So we'll see it. The awards come out in a little bit. We also are very proud of our athletics history. And so we have several championship teams. And when you think about, let's see, that first picture is of our women's basketball team. Our women's basketball team won their first NJCAA national championship last year. They're currently, depending on which ranking you look at, their preseason they were ranked number 1. And they're ranked number 3 in the country right now. And so we're very proud of our women's express team. We're hoping that they can kind of follow the lead of our volleyball team. And so in the middle picture there is of our women's volleyball team. They finished this past season as a national runner-up. Not bad. But I'd have to say that, you know, after having 3 national championships in a row, I kind of was looking forward to saying 4-peat. But I guess we'll just have to do 3-peat and then a runner-up. And so it's amazing when you think of the dedication that our student athletes have because they have to excel not only in their sport of choice, but also academically. And I think a lot of times people forget that part about being a collegiate athlete, particularly when you're not in one of the Power 5 conferences, right? We're not Ohio State, we're not U of M. And so you have students who, you know, some of them may have jobs, but they are studying. They are, first of all, you have to study to be eligible to play. And we're not an institution like some of our Power 5 colleagues where you have, you know, a whole army of tutors or, you know, student success professionals. These students are figuring out, you know, with the help of the existing faculty and staff, how to get all of that done. And so their grade point averages generally are higher than the grade point averages of the general student body. And so I think it speaks to the leadership and the level of excellence for which our students and our student athletes strive on a regular basis. Our men's basketball team doesn't have quite the start that it wants to have. One of our men's basketball players told me, we're just waiting for the right time to peak this year. And so they're going to peak at the right time that it works for that team. But we do have the honor and privilege of having our 1992 and our 1993 national championship teams were inducted into the Ohio Basketball Hall of Fame earlier this year. And so we're very proud of the tradition we have, even though, you know, we're not peaking quite right where we want to be yet. We also have several national grants and other programs that we're very proud of that really help us be able to support our students. And so TRIO Support Services is a program that many campuses in this area have. University of Toledo has a TRIO student support program. Bowling Green has one, Lourdes has one, and it is one of the federal programs that provides assistance to provide students who are first generation, low socioeconomic backgrounds, or who have disabilities or other kinds of disadvantages to provide that student support service. And so in addition to the support services that you find for all students, they're supplemented in there. So they'll have additional tutoring, study sessions, things of that nature to help students succeed and to be on a path to success. We are incredibly proud of that program. But of particular note is our TRIO Veterans Upward Bound program. We are the first higher education institution in the entire state to get this grant. And so it is an opportunity for us to provide extra services to veteran students so that they can come back to school. And this grant, we're responsible not just to bring students to Owens, but any higher education institution of their choosing. And so it's great to be able to be entrusted with that on behalf of the region. And so we provide comprehensive services to veterans who are earning their secondary education diploma. It helps us prepare them to enter the post-secondary education. We assist with financial aid, military benefits, enrollment and course selection, and we offer ongoing support. And so those are some fantastic opportunities that we have, and we're very thrilled to be entrusted with that. We believe that our history with military affiliated students is no small part of why we were awarded this grant. Owens has military services on both of our campuses, and we are in the inaugural class of the Collegiate Purple Star Campus designation for the state of Ohio. We have had Ohio has the 6th largest population of veterans in the United States. We currently have 848,000 veterans. And so that's the veterans only. It doesn't speak to everyone who is military affiliated or their families or their loved ones who are also impacted by their military service. And so our military affiliated students, our active duty students, dependents, and spouses all have an opportunity to be involved with our Veterans Affairs Office on our campuses. It's registered with the National Student Veterans of America, and students can opt in and have assistance with scholarships, with services, with transition assistance, with their benefits. Everything is provided at both of our campuses for our students. And so we're really excited about being able to offer this for our students and for our communities. And so one of the other programs that I wanted to make sure that I got to talk to you about is our Early IT program. And so Early IT is a partnership with the University of Cincinnati. And so it is a program that allows, it created this partnership in order to align the curriculum from high school through to college. And so for those of you who are familiar with College Credit Plus or Ohio's dual enrollment program, there are options there. And it really provides that early exposure for students who might want to get a leg up, learn about cybersecurity, take some coursework, and really have that seamless pathway in order to be a cybersecurity professional. In the Early IT program, students will earn 1 year of college credit while still in high school. And then they have the option to transfer to the University of Cincinnati to complete their bachelor's degree. This program was made possible from a $10,000 early information technology planning and implementation grant, and our faculty in the information technology degree curriculum have revised the curriculum. We have a new cybersecurity degree program and 8 new certificates to align with this program. And so we're excited about being able to move forward with a program that we feel, I mean, all you have to do is watch the news, and you can see the value of having this kind of program. In addition to that new partnership, these are some of the existing express programs that we've had for years now. We just did the reaffirmation of our University of Toledo program, the Rocket Express. And as we were preparing for the ceremony, I was amazed, and I believe Dr. Postal from University of Toledo was amazed, that since the inception of that program, less than 10 years old, we've had more than 10,000 students move from Owens to the University of Toledo. And of those 10,000, 6,500 actually went through the University of Toledo and completed. And so that's just an amazing number of students for this kind of program. And so we have the Falcon Express, the Lord's Grey Wolf Express, Rocket Express, and our program with Findlay. And it really has been a fantastic partnership because it provides that streamlined path. The state of Ohio has transfer policy. There's certain classes that are fit in the transfer module, and if you really do want to go to sleep after you eat lunch, we can go through all of the policies around transfer and what can be a transfer course and what isn't. But even with that, a lot of times students will experience barriers. They may experience hiccups, or the major that they believe they're entering into may be different at their destination institution. And so these advisors actually come to Owens classes, or Owens campuses. They work with the students. We align the curriculum. They have dual admission, and so they're able to participate in the college life at both of the institutions. They're able to go to both libraries, rec centers, athletic events, all of that, so that they really feel as though they're part of both institutions, and that also helps with their transferability. And so we're very proud of the work that we've done with both of those programs. And so we touched a little bit on this with our early IT program, but I do want to make a quick note about this picture. This picture is actually from our cyber boot camp this summer. And I love it because here you have 2 young people collaborating over whatever it is they're looking at on that screen. I have no idea what they're looking at, but it's something related to that boot camp curriculum and IT. And it really, I think, symbolizes the importance of these kinds of outreach activities. I mean, they weren't doing this for class credit. The camp really was for middle and high school students. I'm trying to think through the age group. One of the great things about a lot of the participants is that the Toledo Public Schools Foundation actually provided the funding for several of their high school students to be able to attend. And so it was a great way to make sure that students who may not have been able to financially afford the cost of the boot camp to be able to attend. And I think that's just one example of how I think we need to be integrated within the community. And so the Associate Degree of Applied Science and Cybersecurity will prepare students to be entry-level candidates for positions in information technology and in cybersecurity. They will earn an industry-recognized certification and use state-of-the-art equipment and have those lab simulations. And the program introduces them to hands-on skill sets with the software and the hardware that they need to be successful, but also employable, because I think all of us know that we need more people to help combat cyber criminals and cyber terrorists. And so we're excited to be able to do this. This picture is actually from our Dana Center for Advanced Manufacturing and Logistics. And so this is one of our students working with one of our FANUC robots. And so we have a lot of FANUC robots in the process of purchasing some KUKA robots. And for the layperson, i.e. me, my understanding is that the difference between a FANUC and a KUKA is, do you drive a GM or do you drive a Ford? They'll both get you there, but some of the pieces are different. But that's important for us because depending on where our students work, their company may use exclusively one or the other, and we want to make sure that they have the right equipment that they need so that they can be job ready when they're leaving Owens. And so the Dana Center, as you know, has been outfitted with a lot of the state-of-the-art advanced manufacturing. My first week at Owens, I took a tour of the Dana Center. Of course, you show the brand new building to the brand new president, right? Makes a lot of sense. And as one of the faculty was walking me through this one back room where there's this conveyor belt, and there's a module that's really about this size that you program. And he was telling me literally the zillions of functions that this conveyor can do. It can package, it can bottle, it can do this, it can do that. And I'm standing there going, wow, this is amazing. Looks a lot different than the conveyor belt on Laverne and Shirley. We've come a long way, but it was amazing to know. But when you think about advanced manufacturing, it is skilled. It is about technology. I remember a true story. For those of you who know I-75, from Detroit to Ohio Northern, I remember when the Mazda plant was built just right there in southeastern Michigan off 75. And I remember my parents picking me up and kind of just looking at it oddly. I'm like, it's a Mazda plant. And they're like, it's so odd to see an automobile factory with no smoke coming out of it. And that was back, you can guess how long ago that was, but that was then. And so you think about how those advancements have continued to move forward. And so many of our students, I think our young people, don't necessarily realize and recognize what great opportunities they have in advanced manufacturing. And even when you think about what we provide at Owens, we provide a lot of that entry-level technician. You can work in mechatronics, you can diagnose machines, things of that nature, but through the partnerships we have. Let's say you believe your destination is not at an associate's degree, or you just want to get your toe wet with a certificate. We've been able to build curriculum to where you may start at a certificate, move through an associate's degree, and then transfer to one of our partner institutions. With the Dana Center, one of the things we're proud of is we have 3 Dana Mechatronics certificates that were developed as part of this partnership. If an individual completes all 3, they've earned an associate's degree. And of course, what Dana is asking next, and we're ready to provide, is, okay, what are some resources to where we can get some folks' bachelor's degrees? And so they're an organization that's been very committed to training and development. Some of it we offer on site at their Toledo plant. Some you have to come to the Dana Center for, and we feel it's a great opportunity for us to continue to work together. Another example of how we try to be forward thinking, we know electric vehicles are going to change so much of what we do. Not just batteries and combustion, but the powertrain, all of that is incredibly different than a lot of the other cars. And so beginning to look at that curriculum and to be able to provide the faculty and the staff in order to create the skilled labor that's needed to work in those plants. There's the 2 plants that are coming in, Honda and LG Energy, to the state of Ohio. And so being able to be part of those solutions are incredibly important to us. We mentioned a partnership already with Toledo Public Schools. We're here at Toledo Rotary. And so we believe that that partnership is very key to our success and working together to make sure that our partner organizations are successful as well. There was a big announcement this fall about Toledo Public Schools Magnet School in Pre-Medical and Health Science Academy. And we were very proud to be able to be part of that by offering the 72 incoming freshmen the American Heart Association Heart Saving CPR and AED First Aid certification this fall. And so we were proud to be part of that. with the Toledo Technological Academy, we have aligned our curriculum to theirs. And so our faculty and their faculty have worked together to make sure that there's a seamless transition for students from TTA to Owens. And we'll actually be able to use the Technology Academy in the evenings. So if students want to finish their associate's degree, they can do that without leaving Toledo Technological Academy. And it also will allow adults who are in the area to be able to pursue certification and degrees right on that campus rather than coming out to where we are. We also are very proud to work with Hope Toledo to help bridge the gap between high school and post-secondary education. We proudly host several Hope Toledo students. And this fall or late summer, we hosted Hope Hype, which was a program to really help immerse incoming students, regardless of where they're going to college, into what college expectations and college life are like. And so we're very proud of those kinds of partnerships. I know that Bob Savage is a member and he couldn't be here today, but our work that we do with Toledo Tomorrow is similarly just as important to us, and making sure that students see affordability as something that can be overcome when considering higher education. And of course, our friends at Washington Local. And so we're continuing to look forward to strengthening those partnerships as well. And so we talked a little bit about our Center for Advanced Manufacturing and Logistics. This is that partnership between Owens, Bowling Green, and the University of Findlay. It really is meant to provide a seamless one-stop shop for organizations who need training and education for those. And so it literally will catalog the strengths of all three of our institutions to be able to provide what we really hope to be a destination for businesses and industries wanting to locate. And so the biggest recent accomplishment is hiring the inaugural executive director. And many of you probably know Tim Miley from his work in the area, particularly though down in Hancock County. And, you know, it's a lot of pressure to be the inaugural director for a brand new center that we literally just signed the operating agreement for. And he gets to have 3 college presidents as his supervisor. And so he's either going to be absolutely awesome or, you know, absolutely miserable. I'm hoping, I believe it will be the first, but that's a real tall order to, you know, for anyone to come through. But we have a lot of faith in Tim. In healthcare, as I mentioned before, we provide a lot of healthcare professionals in our area. We have a new physical therapy assisting program on our Findlay campus. We talked a little bit about the Findlay Campus Task Force, and that program had so much interest, we had to open a second cohort of students coming through in its first year. And so we're very proud to have the kinds of partnerships that we do throughout the area, but that was one in particular. And Blanchard Valley Health System actually just signed an agreement with us to open up additional clinical spots. One of the things that they were noticing is that we've always had a nursing program on our Findlay campus, but they felt that they should be getting more students rather than the ones that they were getting. And you know, again, that conversation with our nursing faculty, they realize that, you know, wherever our nurses do clinicals, they have a propensity to stay there as employees. And so that's why that agreement was signed. And so as we look ahead, one of the things that we're in the middle of, and many of you may have received outreach for, is our strategic plan. Our current one is about to expire. And so we expect to have our current strategic plan done sometime in the first quarter or springtime of 2023. And so look forward to being able to talk to you more about that. A couple of the things, and we talked about public transportation. Our campus in Perrysburg has a lot of history around it. Being where Penta was originally located, the military depot. But the one thing that it doesn't have is public transportation. And so I'm very proud of the conversations that Laura Kropowski and our team at Owens have been having to try and see if that's something that we can rectify. And so our partnership has gone not only to talk about transportation to our campus, but also the ways in which we can support TARDA in terms of programming and education and training for TARDA employees. So we're incredibly proud of that. And one of the other things that we're working on is a feasibility study to have a physical location inside Toledo proper. Owens has had outreach centers in the past, one out at Arrowhead and Maumee and one downtown with the county. And those, I think people inside Owens would say that they kind of weren't sustainable long enough. And so rather than just picking a location and starting that effort, we're going to take that data informed step, and we're looking at a couple of different firms to do a feasibility study for us so that we're making sure that we're looking at the right academic programs, the right offerings, and the right location to be able to move that forward. And so those are things that, you know, we're looking forward to in the future. One of the other pieces is, you may know, if you follow legislation in higher ed in Ohio, is that community colleges now have the ability to apply to the state to offer bachelors of science in nursing. Owens will be applying. And so if you're affiliated with an organization that wants to write a letter of support, or you have questions or concerns, feel free to reach out. But we're at that stage of where we're finalizing our application before submitting it to the state. And so that's something that we're looking forward to moving forward. And so if ever you are in the area, or you want to be in the area, we encourage you to come to campus, either one of them, the Perrysburg campus or Findlay. Our athletic events are open. We have a wonderful art gallery. We have performances, musicals, all of that. And we encourage you to stop by. If you need a guided tour, my contact information is on my website, and I have a bunch of business cards in my purse. And so I'm happy to host any of you on campus. And so I appreciate the time that you've given me this afternoon. And I'm happy to take any questions that you have. Okay, great. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thanks so much for your excellent talk. I've been reading in the paper about the decreased enrollment at the University of Bowling Green and Toledo. And could you comment on how you see the trends and the projections, how you fit in, and on that entire situation?
Absolutely. Well, the enrollment picture for all of us has been adversely impacted by the pandemic. Right. And what studies have found nationally is that students who are in the lower socioeconomic brackets throughout the country are the ones most impacted. And so community colleges across the country, I want to say, have seen a 30-something% dip in enrollment. Owens did not experience that. As you know, enrollment has been a struggle for many institutions, particularly Owens, for a long time, pre-pandemic. But what we are very proud of is that we believe we're coming out of that and have very stable enrollment. And so this past fall, I would say we're flat. We're actually down like a couple percentage points in our direct from high school students, but we're up significantly in our CCP and in our non-credit programming. And so I characterize us as stable. I think that the enrollment picture is going to be an issue for a long time. Demographers have been saying for well over a decade, they've been talking about how we will just have fewer direct from high school students. Lucky for us, those aren't the only students we enroll. We have always enrolled adult learners. We have always had contract training. We have always worked with employers as well as direct from high school and CCP. And so we feel as though we're going to fare well. And we're, also very encouraged by our new Vice President for Enrollment Management coming in to help move that further along. So thank you for that question.
It sounds to me as if most of the programming at Owens is currently very heavily STEM based. And I'm assuming that's intentional. I'm wondering, I know you have a theater and so forth. Can you speak to any of the visual or performing arts? Somebody who's not a STEM but is a STEAM. What's available at Owens in those capacities? Thank you.
Oh, thank you for that question. And I apologize that we did only get, those are the programs that are growing and changing the most. And so thank you for an opportunity to talk about, we do have our traditional Associate of Arts and Associate of Science programs. Our Center for Fine and Performing Arts is, I really think is, I even hate this term, as a hidden gem. Because we don't see the kind of community involvement and engagement for our student productions and our different art presentations. The Terhune Art Gallery, most recently, the showing that's in there right now, we have a program called The Big Read, which is a college-wide reading. And this year's book is based on complex trauma. And so the exhibit that's currently in there are partnerships from veterans and artists that are portraying kind of what the different veterans are feeling. The exhibit prior to that was a partnership with the National Museum of the Great Lakes. And that one was done just prior to. And so thank you for the question, because there's lots of opportunities to engage in the arts, the visual arts, the performing arts. We have 2 student productions a year in our theater, as well as a lot of competition in visual arts. One of our students, who was not even an English major, just won a prize at the Ohio Shakespeare Conference. He beat out students, not just from community colleges, from every institution in the state of Ohio, and was the talk of the conference. And his attendance was because our Owens Community College Foundation paid for his admission to attend the conference. And so thank you for the question, because we have a lot of wonderful students and programs in the arts. Thank you for that. He was not paid by us for that advertisement. Feel like there needs to be a disclaimer, but thank you.
Hi, I'm Melvin Jackson with Toledo Tomorrow. I'm a guest of Bob Savage. I never was able to say that earlier, but just with all the adversity that's happened in the past couple of years, I'm purely just curious, but it might be helpful for everyone to know. How have you been able to necessarily remain resilient throughout that process, the past couple of years, and where you are now? I'm just curious.
Because I know where I come from, and I believe what I was put on this earth to do. And, when I talked earlier about, why it is I'm in higher education and what it means to me, and knowing that even though my demographics and my background don't scream privilege, because they scream exactly the opposite, because people from inner city Detroit aren't supposed to be college presidents, right? They're not supposed to have Ivy League doctorates, but I do. I believe that I had opportunities that other people deserve to have as well. And that's why I do what I do. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing all these successes that Owens is having. And it's great to hear about all the collaborative projects you're working on.
Thank you.
So in appreciation for your time with us today, I'd like to give you this book, Historical Tales of Toledo, that was written by one of our past presidents, Clint Moak. And we also will be making a donation in your name to the Post Polio Fund.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to reading this. Thank you.
Just want to make sure I'm on the right page. All righty. Next week, on Monday, we'll be upstairs in the McMaster Auditorium for our Christmas program. It's the Toledo Symphony Orchestra. If you haven't been here before, it's a wonderful program. So please join us next week. If you haven't RSVP'd already, please do to Jackie. I think you can do it in person, email, through the spoke, whatever way works easiest for you. But we do need a count for next week. As a reminder, like I said, it'll be upstairs. Today we have three committee meetings. Membership will be meeting here in this classroom. International Services will be meeting here also, and the Tellers Committee will be meeting down the hall in room 10. I thank you all for joining us today. I thank you, Dr. Somerville, and I hope you all have a great week. Meeting is adjourned.